Hello, this is Katie. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time. I wanted to show you how to use the mini alphabet punch board by We Are Memory Keepers. I picked this up at Michael's. I just thought it was super cute as an idea, and that you could make little letters. They do have a bigger size as well. In my searching, there are obviously plenty of other videos about this and how to use it. In my searching, the earliest date that I saw something about it was 2016, so it's probably been out since at least that long. But some more recent videos as well, and it is still in stores. I got this at Michael's, and I tested it out a little bit just so I could get to know, how to use it. But I wanted to show you how to use it, and also the booklet is very helpful. It's got every letter, so how to do each letter, and I want to make a Mariners, so I'm going to spell out Mariners and using the colors. So the only thing I haven't done is tried to cut it down from a big piece of paper, because this does come with, I'll go over the board first. You can pre-trim your own rectangles to start with. It's 1.5 by 2.5 inches to start. And this one shows how you can cut it down to that size from a bigger piece there. So I'll show you this here, but you can also just pre-cut out, with your paper trimmer, your own 2.5 by 1.5 rectangles. And then this just mentions that some edges can be uneven. Mine were fine, but you may want to use scissors to trim off any uneven edges, and then it goes into the letters there. This is kind of your trimming guide. You don't only use it to cut it down to 2.5 by 1.5. You do use this in the making of a number of the letters. So it has you trim off certain portions to create the letter. This is the little razor blade that it comes with. It's kind of similar to like a Fiskars trimmer that has this type of blade. Mine has the rotary blade, so the round one. But this one has this little plastic nub here, and it rests in these grooves. There's 4 of them. So if you need to trim in this area here, ouch, just pinched myself. I think I must have skimmed the plastic there, because that was like a piece of plastic, and I just pinched my own hand, so be careful. Ouch. This one here rests, you just want to be very careful with that, it's very sharp. Rests the little ball portion inside there and then cuts so it holds that straight. Or if you need to cut this way, the blade is on that side. This can go here and cut, or here and cut if needed. So there are a couple options there. And then that just stick back in there when you're not using it. This one cuts kind of the middles out. So if you look at that, it's kind of looks like a D, the hole in, that's how you get like the hole in the R and the B, the P, kind of that starter. And if you'll flip it around to get 2 of them. And then this one has kind of the inner punch, which would be like the right side of a K, for example. And then also the curved, the rounded side as well. And the punches are kind of hard to press. I was not doing it on a desk, I will say that. So it might be a little bit easier actually sitting down here and doing it. So I'm going to try to trim off of this bigger piece here. You just stick it in the corner. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so it's easier to see. Stick it in the corner. A smaller piece of paper is going to be easier to control too. But to get your 1.5 by 2.5, you're going to start with this one. Cut that way. I just go back once to cover it. And then You actually move this down. You'll see there's a line here. It says 1/2 inch. You'll move it down to there and then hold that down. And then on this end, put the little ball in there. You can start down here. You've got a little pocket, and then cut this way. So you can do it off of, you know, a bigger piece of paper. And then you have your 1.5 by 2.5. So again, you can trim this yourself in your trimmer, or this one does give you the measurements to do so on the device itself. Okay, so I'm going to do M. We're going to start with M. I've done a J and a K so far. So the M will be kind of cute and rounded. It's kind of like a little bit like one of their logos. So we will do that. Option 1. So 2.5. Oh, this one needs a, I thought they were all 1.5 by 2.5. So I guess this one needs a 2.5 by 2.5. I wonder how. I don't know if you can make a 2.5 in here. So we'll set this one aside for another letter. Let's try this here. So the 2.5 is obviously this longer, so we wouldn't want to cut that one. And that's that way. So yeah, I think maybe you can't cut the 2.5 on here. So this is the 2.5 length. I need 2.5 going the other way as well. So I don't think so. And it doesn't show me how I can. So I'm going to trim a 2.5 by 2.5 on my paper trimmer. I'm going to set this teal aside for a minute. Actually, I want to start with teal. So I'm going to do the M in teal because it's my favorite of the two. Oh, and this is longer. I need to trim off the barcode here. This is, I just got 2 of these. We had a Mariner's Puzzle that we mounted in a frame and it needed a background. So I got 2 just in case. This side looks a little cleaner. So I'm going to do 2.5 on this one. And then 2.5 square. Okay. All right, so for the M, we need to start in the upper right with the D. So if we push it all the way to the edge, that's what it looks like. We've got our cutout. Then we'll turn, flip it over. So it'll show light gray when it has you actually flipping over. So now we've got step 3 there. Flipping it over, doing that again. This is much easier to press when you're on a desk. So that's helpful. And then we need to trim a little bit. So we're going to put this in the corner, it looks like. And we need to kind of make our M. So we're going to cut here. And also here. Sometimes it's hard to do that twice. Let's not throw that around. All right, so then it wants us to flip it over. So we've got our little piece. Our M is coming along here. It wants us to flip it over, do that again. And then this one as well. And one cut should be plenty. I took that out just fine. And then, so this is another where that little kind of pointed part that I mentioned was the right side of a K, to put that in the top of the M. So you just put this in the corner here, punch that out. Looking better. That's kind of cute as is. And then you round it, this is just a corner rounder. So put it in there and punch. Put the other one in. Since this is now rounded, I would hold this up against this edge here. And there's your M. So we've got M. Put our scraps to the side. I think the A I can do with just this 1.5 by 2.5. All right, so we've got the A instructions. I'm going to set those in front of me so I can see them. So this one has us start here with our D punch. This one's a little harder to press than this one here, so hopefully that works. And that little bit can just be scraped off. Okay, and then turn it around and then punch that again. And then on one of these, we need to cut here. Make sure you start at the right spot so you don't cut too much off. And then here, where it puts you inside that hole, so you're only trimming off the bottom portion there. And then put our blade away for safety reasons. And then we just need to round these two corners here. So we'll put that in. And then again, this one's rounded so it can get a little loose here. So you want to hold that up to the edge on the right side. And then we've got our A. It can be a little bit, you know, rough around the edges, but you can smooth those out. So if you have scissors, detail scissors, just trim those bits off to clean them up. It might be a little harder on the inner parts there, but so we've got our M and our A. And then we need teal for R. And that one looks like a normal 1.5 by 2.5. So I can trim it in here. I don't know how that's working there. Okay, that one was a little rough, but some of that will come off anyway. So then hold that at this point and cut this way. So I would probably, to save the blade, since you do still need the blade for creating some of the letters and cutting those off. I'm not saying you can't also do that with scissors. You could probably do a majority of this with scissors and then just use the punches. That blade would, you know, possibly eventually wear down. And then, you know, wouldn't work anymore. I don't know if it can be replaced, maybe. Then you can kind of save the blade a little bit. So for R, so sometimes it'll have you line up. It's having me line up here at the 2 line. And then we'll do the D punch there. And then it has me flip it over and do the same so that they line up. I think if I had to do too many of these, it would hurt my hands after a while. So then for the R, we put this in here that way and cut both of these. So you want to start at that second hole for both and take that piece out. This one may have been a little off center, so I'm just going to trim it down. Okay. Then it'll have us put that cut in there and then round the corner here. So this one is a little rounded. It's going to rock that way, so hold that to the left. And you've got your R. Let's see, the I. Oh, the I should be interesting. So this is all the steps for the I. More steps than the average letter there. So we will hold that open. I just turned off a light. Didn't need to do that. So I need navy or my blue, whichever type of blue. I think this is just going to be 1.5 by 2.5. I'm going to pause for a second and trim them out on my paper trimmer. All right, I have pre-cut the rest of the letters here so that we are just ready to go. The rest are normal size, so the M was the only 2.5 by 2.5 needed. The I saw the S. The S looks kind of fun. But for the I, we are going to start here. And press one of those. And then flip it over and then move to the one spot here. Did I do it that way? I flipped it over. Oh, oops, I did the wrong one. I'm gonna have to pre-cut another one here. What's this one? By 2.5. This one's already 1.5 one way. We're just gonna trim off the other way. Is that the same? See, that doesn't seem right. I did 1.5 by 2.5. Let me double check here. No, that's way too long. Interesting. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I guess we'll find out the hard way. All right. So for the I was not paying attention. It had us over to the one spot before we punch the D. That one is so hard to punch. Okay, so it's much closer to the edge there. So we flip it over, push that over to the one, and do it again. I'm gonna need some better grip on this. And then again to the same line. If you have any issues with your hands, I do not recommend this board. There's got to be better ways, like, you know, a good set of letter dies that are this big, about the same size. So if you have any issues with punching or your hands, I don't know that this would work. But so now what we need to do is trim off these bits, just the little triangle pieces there, and then this side as well. I'm not sure how we're going to do them. Oh, get rid of the middle portions. Okay. Trimming those off. Oh, and then we're just trimming off the middle. Got it. All right, so make sure that is in the corner. Does not want to stay. And then we're trimming off. Oops, that might have gone into the other one. Make sure you only cut where you need to. So it is a little raggedy. I definitely cut into the upper portion there. But these can be cleaned up. So I think my thoughts right now about it are, it's a very fun idea. I think punches can be tricky. They're not as precise. Obviously, we've got, you know, some trimming to do. As a device that can, you know, help you with every letter. There's our I. It's a good, you know, investment wise, because we know that dies can be very expensive, especially an entire set of letter dies, depending on what size you need. But I think it's, you know, punches need eventually more precise mechanics going on here. For our N, the N is just like a little arch, which is fine. I keep turning off this light, so sorry. So for the N, it's gonna have us go all the way to the end there and punch that guy. And then trimming off these bits here. So make sure you start in the hole of the N before you go cutting stuff. So not perfect. You can kind of even that out. It's hard to get it exactly centered. But if you're good with detail scissors, if your hands can handle that, you can clean it up pretty well. And then this just needs the corners rounded. So that one is good. This punch is definitely much easier. You could also leave it like that if you really wanted to. I wonder if you could, I don't want to do this the wrong way. I wonder if that would cut it interestingly. Like that could be a different version of the N. I'll just do it how they want me to, but you can kind of play with it. There's also examples. I'm going to hold this to the left side, and there's our N, which looks kind of silly, to be honest with you. There are examples on the front. You can kind of play with your letters a little bit. They turned the tips of the E into flags, like a banner edge. The same with the K, the H, the X looks a little funny to me too. Oh, the Q is interesting too. I don't know when I would need a Q. Little changes to your letters there. So I wonder if the N could be changed a little bit. I'm going to try a different variation of the N. I'm just going to cut another piece really quickly. Two and a half. All right, so this one had us go here and punch that out and then trim these bits off. Gotta stop setting that down or I am going to cut myself. And it had us round one of them, but then I was wondering if this, and you can look at it from the back side to see what would make the most sense. If I could put it over here. I wonder if, I'm just gonna punch it there and see what it looks like. Oh, that's kind of cute, actually. I think I like that better. It just needs to be cleaned up a bit because it got sliced terribly. I'll ask my husband which end he likes better, and then we can use that to make our little mini banner. This could be cleaned up in general. I think I will just trim off the bad edge. There. I think I like this one better with the little, it lets you know it's more of an N versus just like an upside down U. So we'll stick with that one. And then we have E. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Oh, now I turned off the light again. I don't know. I'm not even touching it. I don't know how that's happening. Okay. E. We're going to put it at the 2 spot and do that hole punch. And then flip it over. So it's going the same direction there. Then with these facing this way, we're going to cut here and here and here. Oh, and then, oh, there we go. And then cut the last one. Oh, that was easy. Oh, it has you trim it, so it's not as long, I guess. Oh, the inside. Why did I, oh yeah, I guess that is normal. So cut off a little bit. That didn't really do much. Oh, 1/4 inch, so sorry. So you have to actually put it up to the 1/4 inch line, hold that down, and then it has you trim off just the middle one. I guess that is more normal. I'll trim off the rough edges later. Then we need another R. I'm going to skip that one because we've done it. I want to show you the S, and then we will be done here. QRS. So this one is just like, it just needs to turn into this very smooth S. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so the first one, we're going to be at the 2 line. Put this up a little bit here. Punch that. And flip it over. Have that going this way. Oh yeah, because it's going to be opposite. So punch that one. Then it has us, they're both going that way. Okay. Putting it in here and getting rid of this one and this one. And then putting this way and getting rid of that one and that one. And it still wants me to cut more. So at the 1/4 inch line, with it in like this, we're gonna have to hold it down very carefully. It wants us to trim off here and here. Okay. And we're done with the blade on that one. It wants us to somehow get this in there and punch that rounded one. And then this rounded corner. And then this one. I think I might be doing them out of order, but that's fine. And then we gotta get this in here. Oh, I wonder how that actually... Gosh, I feel like I have to do this backwards because it's a little loose. Oh, that's not gonna work. Okay. for the best, I guess. All right, so that one's a little rough too, so I will trim the edges off of that one. But we've got most of our letters here. I'll do the other R separately. It's just gonna look like that one. I think if you need letters this big, I would recommend investing in a die set over this, only because the trimming isn't super precise. It just has that little blade, which is why I don't have that paper trimmer. I have a rotary blade because I prefer the clean cut of it. I had the old Fiskars one that had this type of blade a long time ago, and I just didn't like it. But if you need letters this size, I would recommend just getting a die set that covers you for that size, especially if you have any issues with your hands and punching and if it hurts at all. But it's a fun little device, and these turned out pretty cute. I don't know, I don't think I have dies this big for letters, so this would be what I needed to use. But again, you can do some of the trimming. You would just need the punching portion, unless you have a corner rounder or this kind of punch, or a punch like that. You could, you know, try and sort it out yourself. But that is the mini alphabet punch board. And yeah, just wanted to show you how to use that. And that's really it. And those are my thoughts on it. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.